The purpose of this podcast is to educate and inform. It is no substitute for professional care by your doctor or your qualified healthcare professional. Never disregard or delay professional medical advice because of something you've heard on this podcast or in any linked material. Guests who speak on this podcast express their own opinions, experience, and conclusions. Dr. Shirley neither endorses nor opposes any particular opinion discussed on this podcast. The views expressed on this podcast have no relation to those of any academic, hospital, practice, institution, or other entity with which Dr. Shirley may be affiliated.
Welcome to Forever FAB, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty. This podcast is curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD, as the definitive source of holistic wellness through beauty.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Part 2 of my interview with Chef Nicole Layog. Chef Nicole, it seems to me that taking a leap of faith is nothing new for you, as you've done it successfully a number of times in your life. It also seems to me that taking a leap of faith is deeply rooted in having faith in yourself and feeling confident that no matter what happens, you'll just figure it out. So if you agree, where did you learn to just jump knowing that you will be caught, or how's that saying go, or land among the stars?
Wow. It's wild because what you're asking, there's so many different parts of it, I feel like, that can be part of the why. And I will say that I've said this before, that one of the main reasons why is because I know that I'm resilient. But I know that I know that I'll survive. And I know that I have the tools in my wheelhouse that I know how to overcome trauma. I know how to overcome financial instability. I know how to overcome those roadblocks that are there, the no's, the no thank yous, the, you're not what we're looking for. And I don't like being told no. So I'm going to continue moving forward regardless of what anybody says or whatever the situation is. Because I know in the end, the way that I move through my life, and I know the way I work, and I know my ethics, and I know that I'm always going to be on a path to success. And so I'm not worried about falling. I'm not worried about failing, because when we fall and when we fail, we learn. And I basically have been learning my whole life.
Yeah.
I was, from a very young age, I feel like I had to grow up very fast. And so in growing up, possibly growing up way sooner than I should have been growing up, I didn't get to enjoy a childhood. I didn't get to enjoy those things of, yes, I did get to go outside and play and enjoy my friends and play sports and all those things. But I also had to take care of myself from a very young age, because my mom and dad had to do what they had to do to make sure that we were okay. And then on top of that, you're adding abuse and, low income household. And at some point, like, not having a bed to sleep in and trying to figure out, what are you and your mom going to do? And there's just like all these things of like experiencing some sort of homelessness and not having a home. So it's, for me, those leaps of faith are like, well, how bad can it be? And how bad is it going to get? Can't get any worse than that.
Yes.
It can't get any worse than being homeless, being broke, being poor, not knowing where my next meal is going to come from, not knowing where the next dollar is going to come from. So survival mode, resilience, and just drive. I mean, I have all those things that I know that if I'm going to take a leap of faith,
Yeah.
it's always going to be okay.
So in addition to all of those skills and talents that you have, it sounds to me that one of the things that you need in order to be able to take this leap of faith is to know yourself. Because you just said, you know, you're resilient, you know, you have tools, you know this, you know that. So there's that, there's confidence, and then there's vulnerability. Do you
Mhm.
believe that there is strength in vulnerability?
Absolutely. It's Vulnerability is one of my favorite words, I think, because without it, we can't grow. Without it, we can't learn. Um, I think that even in a relationship, being able to be vulnerable, being able to share what you're feeling, which, I struggle with. I'm the type of person who can shut down and who can,
Mhm.
I hate to use the word, but implode, and
Mhm.
trying to figure out how to manage those feelings, trying to figure out how to share what you're feeling so that you can grow from that. And I think that's a journey, and it's one of those journeys that's never ending for me. Um, I talk about vulnerability all the time, and I talk about, being able to share those moments where you can have those difficult conversations. I'm only laughing about it a little bit because these are conversations that I've recently had. And so
Yeah.
it's hard to have those hard conversations. It's
Of
hard to be
course.
vulnerable. It's not an easy thing, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because I learn so much. I learn so much about myself. You learn about your partner, you learn about your family, you learn about your friends, and being able to hear those hard things and being able to move through life in that way is so important. And I think that vulnerability is so beautiful because I think the next step through vulnerability is growth. And
I agree with you. Now, at various points in my life, just to add a personal note, I have experienced, really working hard and having to push to get something or, break down barriers or just power through, obstacles. And then there are times when you just get so exhausted of doing that every single day, 24/7, 365, and then some, that you just allow things to happen and then sort of respond later. So pushing and pulling, resisting and accepting.
mm,
What is your process, or how do you approach opportunities and life situations in general? How do you find the balance between the push and the pull? The knowing when you have to implode because of injustice or disparity or inequity versus just allowing things to happen and letting a higher power take care of it. How do you manage opportunities in life in general?
it's a process, and it's a learning process for me. I'm still learning how to deal. I'm still learning how to accept.
Yeah.
Um, I recently have just been learning so much about myself and learning that I receive things differently.
Mhm.
Learning that because of my past traumas and because of the life that I have had over the last however many years, that I receive things sometimes in a way that I feel like I have to defend myself,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm not good enough.
Mm.
And what's wild is that, post marriage, post divorce,
Yeah.
I did so much work on myself to make sure that I wasn't doing that to myself anymore.
Right.
And when you're faced with the hard stuff and you're faced with the challenge of life and the challenge of a relationship and the challenge of running a business and the challenge of any sort of stress or pressure, losing family members and experiencing loss. It's a journey. It's a journey to figure out how to receive things in a better way and how to talk to yourself in a better way. And yeah, and that's just me telling you what I'm going through right now and trying to figure out how to receive better and figure out how to how to be less sensitive
Yeah.
and how to just take that out, take that part out of it.
To your point, there's definitely an art to receiving. I had to learn how to receive with grace because of my insecurities and my sense of not enoughness. I was always giving, doing more for everyone else, giving. Well, take everything I've got. And that made me close to receiving because I felt, no. It's my duty, my obligation. I want to be able to do this for you. Let me help, let me fix. And therefore I close myself off to receiving. And that's not healthy either.
No.
So I definitely believe that one of the chores of cleaning house is establishing boundaries. Now, how do you establish boundaries, but with compassion and grace? I find it hard to just say, if someone asks me something, I find it hard to say, oh God, no, absolutely not. I'm getting better, but I just feel as if, there's a way to massage it, to be able to say no, to protect yourself and to nourish yourself, but also to establish the boundaries so that the relationship between you and the person asking is healthier. How do you handle that?
I mean, honestly, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh, I haven't even thought about that in such a long time because I haven't really. Oh, that question is so good. It's making me think of so many things because you put it in such a different perspective for me because just like you, that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm always the fixer. I feel like I'm always, doing everything for everybody else and not doing anything for myself. So then in turn, the insecurity set in. So you asking me about boundaries, I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, I feel like the boundaries that I've been setting have not been, well, no, I feel like the boundaries that I've been setting for myself have not been, I guess, going down the path of setting boundaries in a relationship and setting boundaries with a partner. And so what I'm learning right now, and I feel like, when did this turn into a therapy session? So thanks, Dr. Shirley.
I'm just a plastic surgeon.
This is great.
I know nothing.
I know, but this is great. This is fantastic. This is everything that I need to hear. But even in this moment, I'm literally I'm learning right now that in this moment and what I'm experiencing in my personal life, that's the conversation that I need to be having. And I need to be having that openly about what our boundaries are. And usually my boundaries are, I don't let anybody in my space. My boundary is, I will help you. If I don't want to help you, I will tell you that I can't help you. That is my boundary. And so if there is something going on in somebody else's life, I'm open and willing to listen and be there. And then it turns into, why am I always trying to solve other people's problems? I literally was just visiting a friend of mine and she was like, Nicole, you know what the problem is that you're always trying to fix things. You're always trying to fix it. And I was like, oh, I hate hearing the truth. I hate hearing the truth. But then at the same time, I'm like, no, thank you. Because the following day, we had the conversation and I told her, I said, thank you. Thank you for being open with me about what you've observed about me. And she's like, yeah, she's like, there was a point where I felt like I was overstepping.
Mm.
And I said, but that's the thing, is that I don't think I allow enough people in
Mhm.
to tell me things like that. And I need to hear those hard truths. And so I need to stop trying to be the fixer. And I think I also just need to know when it's okay to not have control. And so that's where my struggle is. But when it comes to boundaries, I think that we have to establish them in a way that we have to, or I need to start establishing boundaries that I feel like I am protecting myself,
Right.
but I also have to remember that I need to keep the other person in mind as well.
Of course.
And yeah, that now I'm just sitting here like, oh my God, I have so much work to do.
We all do, sis. We all do.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for asking that question.
what your friend told you the other day about you always trying to fix a situation or maybe even a person, could it be that you're just really damn good at it?
I mean, I'd like to think that I am very good at helping people navigate how to get shit done, or how to fix things, or maybe even how to problem solve, because we're all very open to giving advice when we're not
Yeah.
in the thick of it and it's not our shit. So
Right.
we tend to have, sometimes I'll say things to people, I'm like, damn, that was really good. But then when I'm the one in it, I'm like,
Mm.
why didn't I think of that? Or what was I thinking? I wasn't thinking properly. Or now it's just, it's that perspective, and it's either you're in it or you're observing it from the outside.
Right. So what is your superpower?
Ooh, my superpower. I used to think vulnerability was my superpower, but um uh I think my superpower is being open. And I'm learning now that it takes a little bit of time for me to swallow the things that I need to hear, whether it's about myself or my behaviors. But in the end, I like to think that my superpower is being open.
Good for you.
But I
That's
also know that I'm a work in progress. Like
we, we all are. Yes.
I think that
Absolutely.
I'm moving toward the idea and the fact of being open is my superpower. So I'm just going to say that that's what I think I'm going to have to, I'm actively working on that and trying to work on that more. So I want it to be my superpower. So when you ask me
Okay.
what my superpower is, I would say that I'm actively working on what I want my superpower to be.
And it shall be, I don't doubt that. So what moves you the most? Meaning, um, what or who inspires you to be your best self?
I can't even say one person. I want to say everybody who's in my life inspires
Good.
me.
Wonderful.
It's how I move. I love people. I love meeting new people. I love the people that are in my life. Um, you know, I find motivation and drive through the people who surround me, and
Yes.
I can honestly say that the way I'm moving through life and the way that I have my own sense of community, and that's in the 9 million people I know, and this is before Big Brother. Um, yeah, I feel like my community that I've created is, they're that they are it.
So you found your tribe.
Oh, I definitely have a tribe.
You are super, super lucky. What's next for you that you're excited about, and what's your one wish for yourself for next year?
Ooh, oh, I love this question.
Yeah.
What's next for me? Everything
Yes.
and anything. I am open to the idea of continuing to work with nonprofits, continuing to cook and share my passion for cooking with others, and being able to share my love, share my passion, share everything about who I am through cooking. You asked earlier on in the first part of the interview about that side of things with my cooking, but that is what moves me through life. Is I've never thought about it from the standpoint of the injustices, and that's how I'm now moving through life with cooking. But when you put it in that perspective, being able to donate my services so that these nonprofits can have money coming their way, and doing it in a way that I'm doing it for nonprofits that I'm passionate about. And that's everything under the sun when it comes to kids in the foster system, LGBTQ plus rights, and openness about what those are, and how that looks. And I want to be able to give back so much, because in my past life, I never thought in a million years that I'd be able to give back to the community the way that I have been able to give back in the last couple of years. And so going forward, I want to just continue doing that. And next year, I'm going to be hosting a food and wine festival in Fort Lauderdale. I am just talking all of it into existence. I want to be able to cook on a higher level. I want to consult with restaurants. I am in the process right now of consulting with a restaurant, and making sure that they have a thriving business. And I can't wait to see how all of that unfolds.
Wonderful.
Like I said, I have that food and wine festival in January that I get to host. And I just know that there's so many doors that are opening for me right now. And so as much as I want to talk about it and manifest it and put it out there in the universe, it's also a couple things that are a little hush hush. And so I want to,
understood.
I want to see those things through. And I'm excited to be able to share when those things do happen. And so I think 2024 is an unfolding year, and 2025 is the year of greatness. And so
Excellent. So you'll have to
I'm
come back
excited.
and let us know.
Absolutely.
Now-
I'm trying to live my most fabulous life.
Yes, and you are. So remember at the beginning of the conversation, I said to you, one of the things that I noticed about you immediately was this glowing, radiant skin, and obviously a ball of light just on the spiritual side. But getting back to the to the real superficial aspect of my question. Oh my gosh. Well, do you have a self-care or wellness routine? If so, what is it? And then what is your current skincare routine? I have to know.
Self-care and wellness. I love this question so much. Self-care and wellness. I love to stay active. I have to be moving at all times. And whether that's, Florida, the heat is so bad. It's so bad living in Florida. It's just so hot there. It's ridiculous. I love being outside. I love moving my body, whether it's working out, playing volleyball, running, walking, whatever the case may be. I need to, being active is just my favorite thing. And making sure that the way I move through my life in terms of what I eat and the people that I'm around and the positive energy that I put out is that I'm receiving that as well, and making sure that the people that I surround myself with are the same way. And so I think that's a huge part in my life because of the amount of people that I am around at all times. And then also just embracing the fact that I love being at home, and I love the sanctuary of being able to sit with myself in silence. And I think that meditation and journaling and sharing, it all to me just comes hand in hand. I don't even know if that makes sense, but
It makes total and utter sense. And thank you for sharing with me and the Forever Fab audience. My goodness. Now you're not getting away from it. What's your current skincare routine?
You're going to be so mad at me. You're going to be like,
I
"What?"
will. I
My
will.
current skin routine is being
Yeah.
Puerto Rican and Filipino.
God damn it, Nicole.
I know. I'm really sorry. There's really nothing else that goes along with my skin routine other than
You
I
eat
use
well.
I do eat well. I try not to eat sugar. I'm not actually a fan of sweets. I know
Okay.
that if I go on a sugar bender, like I know that I'm going to break out, and so we try to prevent that at all costs.
Got
I
it.
am I love fast food. This as a chef,
What?
I openly admit it. I have a problem. There should be a group for this, but I love fast food. And so I know that fast food is not good for me and my face will speak it. So
Got it.
anybody sees anything on my face, they're like, "Oh, Nicole had McDonald's." Um, but on a different level, I literally use 3 products. I
Okay.
use is it Cetaphil, Cetaphil
Yes.
face?
Cetaphil,
I
yeah.
use the Gentle Skin Cleanser,
Yes.
and then my routine for care is just I use Ola Henriksen
Yes.
toner and
Yep.
moisturizer, and that's it.
That's perfect. It's perfect for you. It works for you. But I have to applaud you for saying that one of the aspects of your glowing skincare routine is the fact that you eat well, you stay hydrated, and you move.
Yes, it's so important.
It's
so
so
important.
important.
And honestly, I did notice that, I'm not a heavy drinker. I love wine, I love tequila. I will say that when I go on a girls trip and I've been drinking for 2 days or 3 days,
Yeah.
my skin is the first thing that chokes my battle with alcohol. It's one of those things too where it's like I can go months without having a drink and my skin thanks me for it. I
Oh, yeah.
wake up, I don't have any bags under my eyes.
No swelling, no inflammation, no puffiness.
Yeah, I don't look like a big balloon. And also to be honest, I don't wear makeup.
Yeah.
I wear makeup if I have an event to go to. I wear makeup if I have to do a podcast.
Yeah. Same here, although I have no makeup on for my podcast.
And you look amazing. And so, yeah, I try not to put anything on my face. I recently did an art project. If you go onto my Instagram, I
Yes.
did an art project called Hidden in Plain Sight. And so Avi Ram is an airbrush artist. And he basically it was called Hidden in Plain Sight. And he spray painted me and painted me into the background of a restaurant for Dine Out Fort Lauderdale.
Wow.
And it is the coolest thing until you have to wash everything off. So for the first time in my life, I have full paint on all of my body, front side. And so I did break out. And so the breakout finally went away about a week ago. And I was like, wow. I was like, my skin, it's just, my skin is very sensitive.
I gotcha.
I know that I have a darker complexion, and I know if I go in the sun for 15 minutes, I turn into this like very dark chocolate person.
Yes.
And so I try to stay out of the sun as much as possible now because I spent every day in the sun in my 20s and 30s.
Yes.
And now I'm like, no, I'm good.
No bueno.
Yeah, no bueno, no sunlight. So minimal sun exposure.
Yes, ma'am.
Gentle skin cleanser and a moisturizer, and that's all you're getting.
I got you. And sunscreen, of course.
And sunscreen. Yes. I do. Yes, I do use Supergoop, and
yes, I do too.
Fabulous sunscreen.
Got it. Agreed. This brings us to the last question. I wish I could stay on with you forever, but I know you have fancy and fabulous things to do. So
I sure do.
The signature question of the Forever FAB podcast is:
yes,
what are your top 5 recommendations for living a beautiful and fabulous life?
Oh, I love this question so much because, you hear so many different people say what they do, and, love yourself.
Yes.
Respect yourself.
Yes.
Accept yourself. Treat yourself with love and treat yourself with kindness.
Okay, Chef Nicole, you laid it out. I see you.
I
Uh-huh.
just love love. So for
I
me, I'm
know.
like, we can be vulnerable all we want, but I just really want to be loved and nurtured and held.
I think that sentiment, that feeling, that desire is completely wound tight around all of our DNAs.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want to be loved and to share love? Who wouldn't want that, like that celestial feeling of right?
Yeah.
So good. Thank you so much, Chef Nicole, for
Thank
your
you.
energetic and beautiful presence on the Forever
you.
FAB podcast. Um, this was a really special conversation. I'm honored that you made the time to spend it with me. Thank you so very, very much. And I know you're in Chicago now, about to do
I
some very interesting things.
Yeah, I am in Chicago, and before I get into that, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for one, bringing me into your space and allowing me to share a piece of me and allowing me to be able to share my vulnerability with you, because I feel like there's a lot of time I don't get to do that. And so thank you so much for that. And thank you for holding space for me and just being who you are, because Dr. Shirley, I adored you the moment I met you, and I'm happy that this is carried over into this and that we've been able to do this together.
More to come. I'm honored and I cherish the time that we spend together, and I do hope we get to spend some more time together. Thank you.
I agree. Thank you so much.
This brings us to our close of this week's episode of the Forever FAB podcast with my amazing guest, Chef Nicole Layog. You may follow Chef Nicole on social, The Butcher Goddess 11. Thank you for listening to this week's Forever FAB podcast video and episode in general, video, audio, all of it. Until next time, stay beautiful and forever fabulous inside and out. Thank you, Chef Nicole.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye, bye, bye.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Forever Fab, the podcast on fashion, the art of living, and all things beauty, curated by Dr. Shirley Madhere, MD. Live beautifully and help make the world a more beautiful place.